Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 168.
168.
Of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by Theme Park Connection in Orlando, Florida.
Big doings over there. Less than 2 weeks before Christmas. Always great Christmas shopping to be done. And if you say Mousesteps online or in person, you get 10% additionally off.
And everyone knows how much I love a discount.
That's right. Big time.
And Pixie Vacations. I'm kind of thinking about the Flower and Garden Festival now. We've brought it up several times
Christmas
when we've been watching.
It's almost over.
It is almost over. Just a couple more, well, about 3 more weeks until the season really ends here. So, but Flower and Garden is like 3 months away, maybe a little less now.
Springtime.
Yes. So this is the time to start thinking about that, and Pixie Vacations can help you with that.
Also, Maple Leaf Tickets, our official ticket agency. The best deals on tickets in town. Never forget to check them out. All sorts of good stuff that we'll be talking about this week.
And I'm sorry about the delay in the show, and Jeff is too. Just we've been both had colds this past week, and you can still hear it.
It's taken a long time to get our voices back in business. They're still not 100%.
Not 100%.
So we apologize for that, but there's so much goodness to talk about. Starting here at Disney's Grand Floridian, we're actually going back. We've had the show ready to go. Our voices have not been there, but we're going to talk about the gingerbread house at the Grand.
We had just arrived from Disneyland the previous. Well, about 1 in the morning, we arrived from Disneyland, went home, got some sleep, not much, and then headed straight for the Grand Floridian so that we could see the cutting of the gingerbread house, the ribbon. And
it was great that Mickey made a special appearance to help Chef Erich with that. We always love the gingerbread house at the Grand. It's a tradition of ours to be there on opening day, and we made it just by the nick of our noses there. So
and Alice in Wonderland was there last year to help open it. I think that was the first year they've ever had a character, and so they had to do something this year to, for guests, I guess, who might have expected a character. So it was nice, and Mickey stayed to meet guests too.
And this year the pin features Mary Poppins, Minnie as Mary Poppins, so it's a very nice pin. You'll probably see that a little bit later on.
But it is not on the gingerbread house. They always have classic scenes. This one was actually on a stamp. Like if you go to the UK, you can find, I think it's a Sierra Leone stamp with that exact artwork.
Right.
But they also have Inside Out, and they always do something that's a little current too. And Inside Out is this year's current one.
We just ate the Inside Out ornament yesterday.
There's still a little left. It's really good though. Like if you buy the Inside Out ornament, Jeff usually likes to save the ornaments.
Yeah, we have last year's Frozen ornament, but
the Olaf, yes.
We should have eaten that.
Well, we can still buy one to save.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about the gingerbread house?
Well, it takes a couple of months to make the gingerbread house, 840 hours of labor, 5,089 shingles, and then they have all kinds of other stuff like 800 pounds of flour, 600 pounds of chocolate, 140 pints of egg whites. I mean, it's really a lot of work.
Well, look at all those shingles. We get those every year. We already had one. Actually, this day we bought one, and I really like Chef Erich's recipe.
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a little different than some of the other gingerbread around property.
The first time I ever had it, I didn't really care for it as much. It's a lot thicker, but we love it now. And they also do chestnuts, and I believe that's Thursday through Sunday, 12 to 6. And there is Richard, who is so popular.
He is an institution
as a greeter,
there,
yes.
for sure, the greeter.
And he was scooping them up.
As you can see, the tree is now up. We've come back since that opening day, and we've been to the Grand a number of times. It's always beautiful. We love it there. Also, I should mention, the Star Wars monorail wrap has debuted. This was the other day at the Contemporary. We finally saw the Star Wars Force Awakens wrap. Not as elaborate as some other wraps, like the Tronorail and things of that nature.
Not at all. I mean, you have BB-8. It's only, I think, on the windows as opposed to like all over the monorail.
Remember the iron monorail?
Yes.
Some of the other rails.
Maybe they don't think the movie will be big enough.
Yeah,
to
just a little film. Just a small little film. Well, the thing is, they don't need to have a full wrap. I don't think this movie is going to need any help at all with promotion.
Probably not.
So, and there's a BB-8 there, but it was nice to finally see it. It looks better in person, I think. So, again, it was good to run into that monorail.
And we are heading to Epcot now, speaking of running somewhere.
That's right. Well, this was the very first day, the day after Thanksgiving, the first day of Epcot Holidays Around the World.
And this is a tradition for us to be there for the full day, which we aren't usually at the parks for a full day. We're usually there for a few hours at a time.
Well, lately we have been.
Well, some days we have been, but usually that's not the case. But this was like a morning till night
Extravaganza.
That's the word I'm thinking.
What a beautiful day it was, though. It's been gorgeous here in Florida. The weather has been fantastic. Actually, it's been a bit on the warm side.
It's been a little warm, yes. It's like 80s today.
But this was a perfect day. Look at the topiary. We love topiary. These guys have kind of come back from the Flower and Garden Festival. We usually see them there, but they're making a return appearance here as they do every year for Christmas time.
Right. They're here couple times a year now, just like they're using topiaries around the property a little more than they did as well.
Right, and they finally took down the Anna and Elsa topiary to make room for the Christmas tree over at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Oh, I forgot. Are they actually gone?
They are nowhere to be found. I'm sure they'll make a return appearance soon enough.
And there is Thumper and Flower in the flowers.
And of course, one of my favorites, Stitch, looking very colorful, very mischievous. And at night, you can really see those lights. He's playing with Christmas lights, and you can really see that later on in the day.
I really enjoy seeing the topiaries out. And they do move them around. I don't know if they moved around a lot this year, but in the past years, they've been in different spots. And here you have Donald and Goofy as you're walking into World Showcase.
That's right. Makes for a great picture spot.
And I think Goofy is still supposed to be skating, and Donald also is, I believe, wearing his skates.
Oh, I didn't even capture.
I didn't
even get
notice
that.
Because of how tall those plants are. I didn't see his skates, but that's usually how he is during the holidays.
Very interesting.
Yes.
And these are reminiscent of the old lights of winter, the doves of peace they used to have. It is white themed.
I didn't even think of that.
Spaceship Earth.
Wouldn't that be great if there were lights here too?
Yeah.
Maybe someday they'll do that, especially with the Osborne Lights closing.
Now this stage plays for 2 different bands. The first one though is the a cappella group here.
And I really enjoy them. This is the American Music Machine, and he's, I believe, singing. Is he singing Mr. Grinch right now?
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
They do a great job, and they start at noon. I think it's probably every day where they start at noon, and then they Joyful goes, and they go just like every hour. You generally have 2 groups.
Right, and they are great. Again, I love that they are doing the Grinch song and all these other songs. I found them to be a very good addition. They're brand new for this year for Epcot Holidays Around the World.
But we have seen all of these singers elsewhere, and also,
other venues, right?
Yes.
Gaylord Palms, places of that nature.
Right, all kinds of places, and they're fantastic. SeaWorld, yes. And here is a Christmas tree, which it's the same really as every year.
Also making a return appearance this year are the Canadian Holiday Voyageurs. What's interesting, though, is the band is made up of former members of Mulch, Sweat and Shears, you can see, and also Off Kilter. So you're really getting it's sort of like an all-star band now.
She is a fantastic singer. I really enjoy the show. I didn't think I saw it last year, but we'll definitely see it again this year. So I definitely recommend it. Your parents loved the show.
They loved it. Yeah, I did too. I mean, I don't know if you've heard the news, the unfortunate news, the Lumberjacks have been axed.
I'm just going to say we've never watched it. We never
all that
watched
time
the
we never did see the We heard the Lumberjacks.
It is so nice not to have a big water tank though there, and I'm sure there's people who like it. Although I don't know too many people who did. But
sure,
it's
there
nice
are
to
people
have
who
music.
liked it.
And here in the United Kingdom, I believe this was new last year. I think it's Spode Teapot. And then you have the peppermints going into France, also new in the last couple of years, and these ornaments.
Very beautiful. You know, I just love being around Epcot at this time of year. Very festive, and especially France. I mean, France does a great job with all these decorations.
And they have like special treats. So if you want to get a peppermint macaroon ice cream sandwich, or
we have had many of those special treats, haven't we?
There's we've had a couple of the peppermint ones because they're so good. But they do a wonderful job here. And here is
Père Noël.
Père Noël, you called him, and I called him Pierre Noël a long time. Even Père means father and Mère means mother in France.
Yeah, so why did it take us so long to realize it was Père and not Pierre? That's embarrassing. Why are we even admitting
I don't know.
that? I don't know.
But he talks about Babette. Like, this is always the one that we usually go to first, in part because it's one of the first ones to start every year.
This Père Noël is very familiar. I think I've seen him in the past at the Adventurers Club and places like that. Very familiar.
Of course, as Santa, because that's all he does.
Well, Père Noël, yes, that's right. And here are some specialty items that you can get around World Showcase. This is over here in America. We've jumped over to America
We
now.
did not try this. We tried several items. We tried the Stollen bread in Germany, which was fantastic.
Wonderful.
In the last few years, I've really enjoyed Stalinbread when we go to like the beer
Although
garden.
quickly, we do not recommend the warm turkey
Oh, that
sandwich.
was the worst
Not
turkey
good.
sandwich I've ever had. So stay
Santa
away from
and
that.
Mrs. Claus would not be smiling had they had that warm turkey
Will you
sandwich.
don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, it's true. You know, you can test it out though at the promenade
But
if
don't.
you would like to give it a shot.
I like turkey sandwiches in every form but that one. So
We love these guys. These are new decoration. At least I think they are new. The Santa Claus on a stick.
yes,
there.
they are new, and there's like 5 or 6 of them where the dwarves would be for the Flower and Garden
It's
Festival.
Helga. Helga is one of our favorite storytellers.
Yes, she is. You kind of notice which ones are our favorites. You know, we tend to go to them every single year, and she is absolutely phenomenal, and I love the story.
Well, everybody has their eyes closed. They're talking about having a giant nutcracker
Nobody
magically appear.
Nobody has their eyes
And when
closed.
you open
She
your
has her
eyes, look,
closed.
there he is. There's the magical nutcracker. How awesome. And you can get your picture taken, which we always do, with the nutcracker. And Helga.
Yes, and that is really fun. Like if you get to do some of the storytellers, there's actually like 20 different entertainment options during the holidays that are not there at other times.
Now, last year, these acrobats in China replaced the old Monkey King storyteller, and I think most people seem to like them better. Very energetic and a lot of fun show to watch.
I prefer this over the. I know there's people we've talked to who like the Monkey King
Right,
better,
right.
But I really like the lion dancers.
A lot of fun. We always stop and watch it when we walk by, and I can't say that for the Monkey King. So
No, I mean, if it's just talking, a lot of times I'll keep walking, but when there's actually entertainment going on or music, I am more likely to stop.
here's a snowman in Norway. Not Olaf, by the way. A different
yes.
snowman. Looks almost like Frosty's hat there.
And this was new for this year also. It's just nice to have little touches around World Showcase that, you know, especially when they're kind of surprises. We didn't know that he'd be there.
Right. And I believe we're about to see another one of our favorite shows. It's Jule Nissen.
You love this show.
It's a fun show. I love this show.
I think this is your favorite because you used to talk about it all the time. Yes, you do the boop.
No, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy this show. Again, I actually like all the various storytellers. I've learned a lot over the years. Weren't we at a place once, very recently actually, and they were talking about holiday traditions, and we looked so smart because we're like, oh yes, Father Christmas, Jule Nissen. You know, we brought up we kind of went around World Showcase in our head, and it made us sound like we knew all the different La Befana.
Well, La Befana. We have learned quite a lot over the years. You know, you do learn things, and I think it's fantastic. I think that's one of the special things about Christmas around the world.
So now we're going to jump ahead to a different day because there was a really cool surprise at the Grand Fiesta Tour, the boat ride at the Mexico Pavilion. Now, do you remember an attraction many years ago, opening day attraction at the Magic Kingdom called the Mickey Mouse Revue?
I remember that they had it, but I used my e-tickets for Space Mountain and other assorted attractions.
Yeah, can you believe it was an e-ticket back then in the 70s? You know, it closed in 1980. Well, these are some of the figures. The three Caballeros were part of that Mickey Mouse Revue show, and I think it's really nice that after all these years, after going to Tokyo Disney, they made a return appearance here to Epcot this time, not the Magic Kingdom, to replace the movie part of this segment of the three Caballeros, and it's really nice. I love animatronics, so it's great to see them back.
I feel like we had heard a number of years ago that they were in the area,
yes,
but and that they might eventually show up somewhere. So it was really nice to have them here.
It wasn't a complete surprise, but it was a nice surprise,
yes.
And we were very glad that happened. Now we're back at the fountain stage. This time we are seeing Joyful, which is gospel music, very popular, a lot more members.
Yes, like 4 times as many as the last show that we had seen there. And now we are at Disney's Beach Club Resort. I believe this is a 17th year for this particular display with the carousel, and each of the horses, it's always themed. Like here
right.
You have Marina, and it says 1990. I'm just going to assume that that's the year that the resort opened, and it says Beach Club, and then we're also going to see a Disney's Yacht Club themed horse, but there's always a theme.
And I like how right down to some of the horseshoes are themed. There's always one that has the candy cane design on the horseshoes, so I think I will zoom in on that as it comes by. But yes, I like this. I think it's very nice. Every year, it's a favorite of ours because it changes ever so slightly.
Right. I mean, and it actually changes quite a bit in the last few years, but here is the one with the candy canes, and you can see hidden Mickeys and not so hidden Mickeys. So there's always stuff to look for on them. And I just love the resorts at the holiday season.
Right, and there they are. There are the little candy cane horseshoes,
And
you
they
can see
have that every year.
The tail is made out of chocolate. A lot of chocolate involved.
And usually the name of the horses has something to do with like had
peppermint one year.
Yes, and then Admiral for the Yacht Club one. So it always kind of has something to do with it.
So now we're going to jump over to the Dolphin. The Dolphin was having their Christmas tree lighting this night. I guess they do it every night.
No, the Christmas tree lighting isn't every night, but if you look online, they actually have a like a calendar saying this is when the tree lighting is. You know, to actually have a tree lighting ceremony with Santa and with Mrs. Claus. Santa did not join them in the tree lighting ceremony, but he was out on the causeway.
So does the tree get lit somehow, though,
Oh,
every
it
night?
probably...
I cannot imagine the tree
I'm sure
stays dark.
No, I'm sure it lights, but to actually have the ceremony...
Like this is the ceremony, and there is
Yes.
Mrs. Claus, the Mrs. Claus herself,
Mrs. Claus.
lighting the tree.
On
what a
vacation.
tradition. With Candy Cane, her faithful assistant, Candy Cane, also there.
It's funny because when I put up the vacationing Santa and Mrs. Claus, it's like somebody on my Instagram's like, why are they vacationing? Isn't this their busiest time of year?
Well,
So
they
I don't
need
know.
a rest before the busiest time. Santa was telling me how much he loves golfing. He loves to go. There's his
he
golf
is.
cart right there. Specialty Santa version of the golf cart.
And this is actually our favorite meet and greet with Santa and Mrs. Claus, and it's really the only one we do every year regularly, and just such a fun time. And the tree lights at 6 o'clock. And Santa and Mrs. Claus start meeting at about 6:15. They were very popular this year. Sometimes it's not so busy, but this was a busy night.
Busiest ever. Busiest ever, absolutely. Santa does look very relaxed, though, considering how much work he knows he has coming up. So, am I right about that?
Yes, he looks very relaxed. But they have several photo opportunities here. It's not like a photo pass thing, but you bring your camera and you can have a picture taken with the reindeer on the left. She is so much fun. And I think each tree lighting and each time you go, it's different. So like if we went again, it could be a little different.
So now we're heading down the causeway to the Swan Resort, and the Swan has this beautiful chocolate display that we look forward to seeing every year.
Right. The Walt Disney World Swan Hotel has had this for about 5 years now. They had Santa to begin with the Christmas tree, and then a few years ago they added the Nutcracker.
And they added the train also. I think the train came
the
first,
train.
then the Nutcracker. So it's nice that it gets expanded upon every year.
There's 3 million calories in this display, so
no problem.
I will not be eating it. No, but it's over 1,000 pounds total of chocolate, different kinds of chocolate, including 880 pounds of dark chocolate, and it smells so good.
Smells so awesome in there. So now we're going to move on. We're looking at the Candlelight Processional. We're back to opening day, and this was the very first night.
At Epcot.
I believe the narrator was Gary Sinise.
Yes.
I think we'll be seeing him. But we always have a great time. You know, we've seen the Candlelight now 3 times this season.
Yes, and I've seen Gary Sinise a number of times, first around maybe about 15 years ago, and then there was a long period of time that he didn't do it at all, and then he's been back, I think, the last maybe 3 years.
Lieutenant Dan.
Yes.
Also, he makes an appearance at an attraction. Do you remember which one that is?
Mission Space.
Mission Space, that's right.
Know.
There you
Yes,
go.
I know that.
So I think he is about to come out, and we will see Mr. Lieutenant Dan Gary Sinise right now.
And I love what he does. You know, he really works hard for veterans, just like my father. So I really appreciate that. And it was nice to have him kick it off. I mean, they had some very strong narrators so far this year, really popular ones.
That's
very
right.
busy.
That's right. We saw Whoopi Goldberg, which was she was very good, and then we saw somebody else who was really, really good.
Joe Morton.
Joe Morton.
Who I don't
yes.
know who it is. I'm sure I've seen him on TV shows, but he was really a very good narrator.
And there's Dr. John Sinclair, who is a longtime conductor of the orchestra Candlelight Processional, and he is singing Silent Night. He's actually directing all of us to sing Silent Night.
And the nice thing is, like, we almost, each time so far we've known somebody in the cast choir.
Right,
so,
that's true.
And we really appreciate, the high school choirs that come in and the cast choir, because without them it couldn't happen. Like, you can have a narrator, but you wouldn't, if you don't have the choir, you're not going to have a show.
Not to mention the Voices of Liberty.
Absolutely. So this is just a phenomenal event. We've been able to get in line and be able to see the show, especially the third one. The first one always seems to be the busiest, but by the third one, we didn't have any trouble the couple nights that we got in line.
And here is another favorite of ours. It's the Let There Be Peace on Earth holiday tag to illuminations. You could see a new effect right there where they have the sparkles on the water at the beginning.
It's
really spectacular.
beautiful.
And all these new lasers. You know, this is much more enhanced than I've ever seen it before. So it's just, it looks great.
Well, the lasers have been added in the past year or so, and I don't think they had them last season, and they're
well, certainly
stunning.
not to this extent.
No.
And you know, the Let There Be Peace on Earth holiday tag used to be narrated by Walter Cronkite, but last year they replaced him with a new narrator, and it's growing on me. I do miss the Walter Cronkite version, but now I'm getting used to the new one.
I think it's okay, sometimes to have changes. So.
Of course it's okay to have changes. But you prefer the new?
I like the old one better. I like the Walter Cronkite.
So now we're looking at some of the holiday decorations around Epcot on the way out. Even nicer at night.
Absolutely nicer at night and very colorful. And I really think that they've done a terrific job with the lighting.
And while this show is going on the fountain, they're blasting the old Lights of Winter music. A nice tribute.
Us.
A nice tribute to a former classic. Wouldn't it be great to have that back next year?
Of course
Since
it would
the
be.
Osborne Lights is going away.
That's what I said earlier.
Glowing away?
One of these days, maybe.
So we can only hope,
Yes.
I suppose. Anyway, more great lighting effects. Another great season. Holidays, Epcot holidays around the world. We've already been back a number of times since we recorded this.
And we'll be back again.
I'm sure we'll be back again as well. So now we're going to move on. The next thing is the Gaylord Palms. Every year we have such a great time as the Gaylord Palms celebrates the holidays.
And look at the lights. They have 2 million lights. I think that's about half of the Osbornes, but still for a resort, that is, a lot.
And that was from our balcony, by the way. What a nice view. And here we have Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus is welcoming us to her breakfast. Breakfast with Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. Claus has been many places.
And her elf helpers, too.
Yes.
Elves are involved.
It was really a lot of fun. They do this breakfast on a number of mornings. I think mostly on the weekends they have it.
And here are the elves with Mrs. Claus. We had them pose for a picture. We're going to look at some of the food, some of the yummy breakfast food. There is some salmon in there, some poached eggs, some scrambled eggs, all kinds of juices and coffees and things. It was a great breakfast.
Well, they do a very nice, I think this is one of my favorite breakfast places, Villa de Flora over at Gaylord Palms. I mean, in the area.
Right. And look at that omelet, huh?
Yes.
I'm getting hungry right now. And look at this. We made our own elf on a shelf.
Yes.
How do you like that? That is spectacular.
The elf on the shelf's not saying anything.
That's right. And there is Santa Claus, Mr. Claus himself, coming in to take pictures, and we did that.
And you can see all these items over here. It's part of the gift shop, and they actually have so many unique little items. Like, you would want to just go there just to look in the gift shop.
We did make multiple purchases.
We did
I do
buy
remember.
a few things, yes.
Absolutely. Now, the next thing we did is we did gingerbread decorating. It wasn't Gingy this year, though. It was a new gingerbread man named Nutmeg.
Looked very similar.
Yes, it was a distant relative. This is Nutmeg, the gingerbread man. And like we usually have done with Gingy, we had Nutmeg help us out with our decoration. You know, who better to ask than a gingerbread himself to do gingerbread decorating?
And I was just going to mention, it's not Gingy this year because it is no longer DreamWorks, but I thought it was interesting. Peeps sponsors this. And you'll find like Peeps items in the gift shop also, so I thought that was of interest.
They should have had a giant peep walking around helping out.
A gingerbread peep.
Gingerbread
Maybe
peep.
one of these
Yes.
days. That would be
It's an idea for next year. But anyway, Nutmeg was wonderful. He's always a lot of fun. We have enjoyed spending time with him. And here is the all new show that they had that replaces Luminescence and some of the other shows in the main area.
Well, this is in the atrium, and it's called Cirque Dreams Unwrapped. And it is completely different than what they've had in the past with Luminescence. I mean, this part is a little bit the same because they had aerialists also.
Right.
But it's kind of like a Broadway style, and it's not Cirque du Soleil, but it's the Cirque Dreams, which has been around for like 22 years, but they've never been in Orlando. I guess they've never played at all in Orlando, so this was the first time. And it's included, like if you come in for ice, this plays most days.
And, you know, this is also from our room. So if you do get a room with your balcony overlooking that area, you can watch it from the comfort of your own balcony. Can't beat that, right?
No. And some days they have like caroling also, music. So you get both. It's just nice because if you go for ice, you can do so many different things, including the Elf on the Shelf scavenger hunt. You can go look at the alligators. There's a lot to see.
And speaking of ice, we are about to go into the 9 degrees of goodness of ice right now. Twas the night before Christmas, and another great year of ice.
Well, I always enjoy seeing what's new. They have had Twas the Night Before Christmas before. It's been about 5 years, but there are additions this year, including the ice
ice bar.
Yes, the ice bar, and also you can go and you can talk to a carver. Well, if they have the translator there, but you can see the live ice carving. So there's always something new, no matter what, inside ice. And there's 2 million pounds. Like, we got to kind of go through it several times before it opened, and it's just interesting to see how quickly it changes. They have the 40 Harbin China ice carvers who come in for a month.
It's amazing how quickly they get all this stuff done.
It's incredible. It's really incredible.
And you notice that it actually can fluctuate. It can be even colder if there's a big crowd, because they seem to turn up the cold the more people that go in there.
Well, the first time we went in was when they were just starting, and it was cold, but I wasn't that cold, but the last time we were in, I was like,
there was extra few degrees, I guess.
So
and here we are right now. We are freezing our blocks off on the Blocks Ice Bar, which was a very nice addition. I enjoyed that. Although I should tell you, it's so quick. We tried a beer, and the beer actually froze before I could finish it. That is
did it
cold.
really? You
That
gotta
is
drink
a
it
true
quick.
story. Right. Now, some of the alcoholic things will not freeze no matter what you do. So I would advise those type of drinks if you're not in a big hurry.
And it's not a bad price. It's $15.95, and you get a couple of drinks, including one souvenir cup. And it's a fun experience, I think.
So this is my favorite part of the whole thing, though. It's the ice slide. Not to be confused with the other ice slide.
The Alpine Rush snow tubing.
This is the actual ice slide. And I got some pretty good speed here. This was from the very first night. And look at how quick I'm going down that slide.
You know, I haven't been on this yet this year. So next time we head over this season.
Well, we will definitely go back.
Yes.
Absolutely. And here we are. We are exploring more of ice this year. Never can get enough. There is Santa Claus. Again, we've seen quite a bit of Santa Claus during this show, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And also, I was just going to say, it's sort of like, I don't want to say a museum, but it's something where you have, it's like art. Like, to me, this is like artwork. And, this is a frostbite factory. So they're like showing how they do the carving, and again, like art, but that will melt away at some point. You know, it's just temporary.
There's that ring they're working on. They will let the guests hold the item sometimes. I think we got to hold the ring and various other things. So very nice, very interactive. I like that. This started about 2 to 3 years ago, where they actually had the Frostbite Factory.
Yes.
And I think that makes a big difference to me. It's much more enjoyable with that.
I was going to say maybe 3, but it's been in the last few years. And here is the final scene. This is crystal clear ice, and it is the hardest ice to make. It is like flawless ice, and it's just very interesting. It takes them like a few days to make the crystal clear ice, you know, so it's like Waterford crystal clear.
It's the nativity, and it always is the way ice ends.
Yes,
oh, and here we
always.
go. These are the other slides where you get on these, what
It's
should we say,
snow
inner
tubing.
tube? Oh, yeah, snow tubing, which was a lot of fun. If you ask them, they will spin you, and you can spin around as you go down. So we had a lot of fun with that, too. So anyway, a great time at Gaylord Palms. As always, I can't wait to go back, and believe it or not, that's another show.
That's another show, and hopefully within a week we'll have another show.
Better voices. Our
Yes.
voices are getting better already.
We're starting.
That's right. Thanks to our sponsors, Pixie Vacations.
Yes, and again, Flower and Garden Festival coming up, and Maple Leaf Tickets.
Our official ticket agency, best deals on tickets in town, and Theme Park Connection, our original sponsor. Merry Christmas, everyone. We'll have much more Christmas, including more from Disneyland.
And Happy Hanukkah.
And
because
Happy Hanukkah, too. That's right.
It is Hanukkah now.
It's almost done. Hanukkah is just
think it's
about to
about
be
halfway
finished, I
through
think.
now.
Yes. So anyway, we'll see you all next week, and have a great week.
Have a great week.